Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Let's begin, inshallah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. So we're doing a parent enrichment, mashallah, with Rising Star, and today's topic is signs you are raising them well, inshallah. Subhanallah, that's our most top concern, that we want to raise our children right. Yeah. Yep, it's a very big concern. All right, so we're gonna learn and we're gonna see what are the signs we should see in our kids and our children as they're growing up, as we are parenting them, to tell us, because we always should check in, how we're doing. We should always check ourselves, and we're gonna learn the signs they should display in their behavior, in their character, which can tell us if we are raising our children right or not, inshallah. So, as we know from the Quran, Surah Al-Kahf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned that the children, wealth and children, are but adornment of the worldly life. We know that these beautiful little human beings are a blessing and a test. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us with this person, this human being under our care, it is a huge blessing in the way that they bring a lot of joy to us. They bring pleasure to us. They are the coolness of our eyes. And they become the focus of our life for certain years of their life and our lives until they move on, and we don't have any control over them, subhanallah. But they can also be a test for us, because sometimes in trying to taking care of them, trying to make things good for them, doing things for them, we forget whether we are doing it right or not, whether we are doing it according to how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to raise them, whether are we just making life easy for them or their akhirah as well. So that's the main reason when we compromise, when we start compromising our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for our kids, we sacrifice our salah, we sacrifice our relationship with Allah because of our children. We don't get to read the Quran as much, we don't connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we don't take care of our own health, emotional, mental, physical health, because we just want to serve our kids and
topmost priority to them.
Yep. Yes. Alhamdulillah. So that's what we need to learn, that we need to create a balance between the life of dunya and the life of akhirah, and the balance between how much you should take care of yourself, and by taking care of yourself, you're going to be able to take care of your kids better, inshallah. So having the clarity of our purpose, having the clarity of our goals, helps us to determine the path we need to be walking on to raise them well, inshallah. Okay. So the first sign you should see in your child is that they show kindness and empathy towards others. So your child considers other people's feelings. They help them. If they see somebody needs help, they go ahead and help them. They don't wait until it's asked. And they treat people with kindness. They're good listeners. They're not selfish people. They are open to listening to other people's opinions, ideas, suggestions. And this applies in many places, especially if you talk about younger kids. This applies in their classroom, their treatment with their class fellows, their treatment with their teachers. And that's what we see as a important part of their character towards people around them. The second quality they should display is that they are honest and trustworthy. They understand the importance of honesty even when it's difficult and take responsibility for their actions. This is a very challenging place to be in because there's a lot of peer pressure. And it applies to anybody, subhanallah. As adults, we also face this challenge and we are sometimes scared of some consequences, or we worry about people not being happy with us or leaving us or getting upset. We worry about all those things and then we choose not to be honest. There is a way to it though. You got to be very careful how honest you are being. So, sometimes we are rude and we we say we're honest, and that's not the real honesty. So, inshallah, we need to make sure that our kids are growing up to be honest and trustworthy adults. Third point you should see in your kids is that they respect others. It seems old fashioned now because generally now we see that kids are more, they're friendly, they're frank, they're upfront. So they don't keep anything in their hearts. And these are all very good traits to have, except that they need to know how to do it. They need to learn the difference when they are talking to an adult, or they're talking to their teacher, or they're talking to their parent, or they're talking to a neighbor who's elder, or they're talking to someone who is of the same age or younger. So there's different ways of approaching people, and that's called respect. There are boundaries and limitations. The way you speak, the tone of your voice, the choices of your words, all matters a lot. We should not stop our kids from speaking up. We should let them speak their minds, but they need to know how. I know the way we were raised was to be quiet, right? Don't say anything, just be okay with everything. That's not going to work anymore. We need to allow our kids to speak up because they have a lot of questions, and then they have all the rights to ask those questions. And it's our responsibility, it's our duty to answer those questions as much as we can, inshallah. So we need to teach them how to treat people, regardless of their age or background, with politeness and respect, and honor their parents, grandparents, teachers, and everybody around us. This is what I feel or I believe is respect. Basic respect does not need to be earned, right? You are born with it. You are born with it. So if somebody is not being respectful, they are actually being disrespectful towards themselves, right? So whatever is within us comes out, right?
The same thing for the others too.
Yes. So we are displaying what we feel about ourselves. So when I'm disrespecting somebody, when I'm rude to somebody, that's how I treat myself in my heart. So being a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it does not suit me to treat anybody below me. Nobody is above me, nobody is below me. We're all at same level of basic respect, right? So when people say that respect is earned, it doesn't sit well with me because a basic level of respect does not need to be earned. We are born with it, right? And we need to know that about ourselves too, because when we know this clearly, then we will be able to differentiate the behaviors people direct towards us. And we'll be able to say, okay, this person is disrespecting me. It's not my fault. It's not something I did. It's their personal issue they're dealing with. They don't know how to. And then you separate people from their behaviors, right? And that's where we learn how to respect people. Now, there are different levels of respect, of course, with the relationships we have in our life. Some people we will show more respect towards, and some people would be Not as much, but right now I'm talking about the basic level of respect you approach any person, regardless of their age or background. You have to be polite with people, you have to be kind to them, you need to keep your voice level at a decent pace and all that, inshallah. The fourth sign you should see in your child is that they express gratitude. Your child appreciates what they have, and they have a healthy relationship with money and have sense of financial literacy. They are aware and thankful for the blessings they have in life, including their parents, their siblings, their relatives, their teachers. Anybody in their life is a blessing,
Yes.
including people who are difficult to deal with.
Yes.
It's hard to see life like that.
It's like a learning from them.
It is definitely is a learning, because difficult people actually trigger us, and our triggers, when we are triggered by something, that means that this area of my life needs some work.
Yeah, we'll be more stronger and stronger and stronger.
Inshallah.
Please,
Inshallah. And that's the approach we have to show towards life, because life is not easy, it's not simple, it's not smooth, it's up and down. Every day is a different day. We cannot predict how my day is going to be today. May Allah protect all of us. But slightest of the change sometimes upset us, because we are not accepting the fact that life is not the same every single day, right? So when we have the attitude of gratitude, that's when we're able to focus on the blessings rather than the pain and the difficulties in life. And that is when you actually start looking at the challenges and tests in your life as blessings. The Sahaba used to worry about it when they were not being tested. They would ask each other, worry about it, and wonder if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forgotten us. SubhanAllah. So the fact that we have some challenges in life here and there, doesn't matter where it's coming from, it is all coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to keep that in mind. That no human being has the ability to harm us or hurt us. Everything that is happening to us is happening for us, and that's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for our benefit, for our improvement, inshallah. The fifth point you should see in your child is that they show resilience in tough times. They don't give up easily, learn from their failures, and keep trying even when things are hard. Graceful attitude towards the setbacks in life. So the thing is, this is a big problem of today's generation, because they are I want to call it a victim, because they're victim of gentle parenting, that we just want to make life really easy and comfortable for them, remove any difficulty that's coming in their way, help them with their homework, a little bit frustration, and we just want to make them feel better. We don't let them work through things. We don't let them work harder to achieve something.
Yeah.
And if they grow up with that kind of mentality, when the real life hits,
Very challenging.
it's going to be really hard, because we as parents, as much as we want to, we're not going to be there with them forever, paving the ways for them, throwing flowers in their path. We're not going to be able to do that forever. That's why our goal as parents need to be preparing them for the life that's coming up. Yes, as an adult, because that's when they're going to be in the real world. That's when they're going to face the real problems, and they need to be able to have this characteristic, that's this trait of resilience, to bounce back. When we lack resilience, that's when we fall into depression. That's when we fall into all sorts of mental health issues, where we are unable to get back up. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to be depressed for some time. Yes, there are challenges there. It becomes hard, but resilience is something that's going to keep making you bounce back. Okay, I cannot give up. As long as I'm alive, I cannot give up. I have to keep trying. I have to keep trying. SubhanAllah. So that's what we need to see in our kids. 6 points is that they are independent and responsible. So they take care of their belongings, they complete tasks without constant reminders, and can handle age appropriate responsibilities. And they don't expect an allowance for routine chores. Okay. So our kids need to know that as a part of a family, it is their contribution towards the family if they do the dishes, if they're washing. I don't want to say their clothes because they have to do their clothes. If they're washing your clothes, maybe. It's a contribution for them. If they fix a sandwich for the family today or themselves, even, if they come home and you're not home, they're able to fix a sandwich for themselves. We're not supposed to raise paralyzed adults.
That's true.
Yeah. So basic life skills is not a favor to me. It's a favor to yourself, because when you are able to take care of your cleaning, your clothes, your laundry, your food, and other necessary house chores without expecting a thank you or yay my child did this or good job you did your laundry today. Depending on the age, of course. For if a 5-year-old is doing that, yes, I'm going to make a big deal. But if a 12-year-old is doing that, that's okay. That's a normal thing. So we should not train them to receive praise or allowances just because they emptied a dishwasher today or took the trash out. So these are normal day-to-day life chores which everybody should be able to do. And then the financial no so they need to be responsible and independent, like taking care of themselves, inshallah. They're not depending on anybody. SubhanAllah, I see grown up people waiting for their parents to come home to fix them a meal. And that's not normal.
Yes.
That's not normal. Regardless if it's a boy or a girl, I do not make any differentiation in that area because everybody needs to know how to survive in this dunya.
Yes. It's very important for them.
Yeah, inshallah. So they have, number 7 is that they have a strong sense of right and wrong. So they know the difference between right and wrong. When they, when they're honest and trustworthy people, they're going to be brave enough to stand up for the right and against the wrong. And we need to raise them this way because the world is full of confusions, doubts, distractions, and they need to have that basic sense of right and wrong so they can speak up or make a better choice. Maybe you can, if your child is in a safe environment or better environment, maybe you can guide them up until their high school age. That's a stretch. But after that, when they're in college, especially, it really, subhanAllah, doesn't matter where they're at. But if they are in college and they don't know this, they don't know what is right and what is wrong, they're going to be lost. They're going to be lost. They're going to be destroyed. They're going to be affected, influenced, everything. And that's going to be hard on them. It's hard. Number 8 is they stand up for what's right. So we almost covered it. Once they have the sense of what is right and what is wrong, they will be able to choose the right. They'll be able to make all the right choices, inshallah, with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And not only for them now, we need to see what they feel about others when they see injustice happening, when they see unfair behaviors. Are they standing up for others? And that's a big deal, because if we don't speak up, then we are a part of it. You know, you see a sin and you don't say anything about it, then you are a part of that sin.
Yes.
Right? We see injustice happening, you don't speak up, you are a part of that injustice. A
Like
lot
we are
of the
witnessing the
yeah,
sin.
right,
We are answerable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
right. And those are one of the according to hadith, those are the parts of your iman, your levels of iman, right? Subhanallah. So the kids need to know, or they need to be brave enough to speak up for somebody else, because we will be asked. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold us accountable that you saw something wrong happening. What did you do about it? What did you do about it? In whatever capacity, capability you have to do something about it. A lot of the bad, a lot of the evil that's happening in the world today is because all of those good people who are not coming forward and saying anything about it. Just so that we are trying to be safe, or we're not trying to be just, you know, basically we're trying to be safe.
Yes.
We want to play it safe and not want any harm towards us. Yes. But as a believer, as a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is our responsibility to speak up against injustice in the world. Number 9, they show respect for rules and boundaries. So they understand the importance of rules and follow them, whether at home, school, or in public. So when they are raised right at home, they're used to follow rules and boundaries. And that's basically structure. Okay? This is a structured life. They need to know what I can do and how much I can do it, where I can do something, where I cannot do something, what is a proper manner, what is not. These are all rules and boundaries. And that's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to live our life, a disciplined life. This, yes, balanced and disciplined life. And this does not mean you're suffocating your child. According to their age level, you are going to train them to follow the rules and regulations and boundaries, so that they know that if they are not allowed to throw a tantrum at home, they'll know not to throw a tantrum in the grocery store, right? They know that they're not supposed to get into things that are not safe, or are dangerous at home. They're going to behave the same way at someone else's house, right? Inshallah. Number 10 is that they have good manners. So they're polite, they say please and thank you, respect elders, and practice good manners and etiquettes. They think before they speak. This is very important. We are missing on please and thank yous. Somehow it just disappeared from our conversation. And that's one way of showing gratitude towards people around us. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that a person who's not grateful to the people is not grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we need to make sure that we are raising them to respect elders, to use better language, better words, and showing manners around people and by themselves as well. It's important. So the thing is that, yes, sometimes we behave well when we are around people, but when we are by ourselves, then we are somebody else. That's a good way of knowing who you are, really. You are what you are when you're alone. So teach that to your kids as well, inshallah. Number 11 is that they are curious and they love learning. So they ask a lot of questions. I don't think we have a problem with that, mashallah. They explore new ideas and enjoy learning both in and outside of school. So the thing about this is, yes, they do have a lot of questions. And at a young age, you might not be able to teach them how to ask a question or what questions should be asked, but build on that from start, that not every question is a good question. So eventually, not right away, at a point where you will have to let them ask whatever's coming out of their mouth. That's fine, they can ask. So they have this liberty or comfort that they can come to you and ask you anything they want. But as they grow older, past the age of 10, I would say, they should start learning about what is a good question. A good question is something that is focused, that is with purpose, and that's going to help them make their life quality better, or help others or help the world in some way. So their questions also need to be
You should
good
not
questions.
hurt any others when
Yeah.
asking the questions. Some emotions depends on the situations.
Correct. Yes.
Mhm.
Inshallah. So, and the tone of the way you
Yes.
ask the question, your question may be good,
Mhm.
but the way you're
Yes,
asking
yes.
it also matters. Sometimes they ask you in a way that you don't want to answer that. But then that's what we're teaching them, inshallah, that they are definitely welcome to ask questions, but it needs to be done in the right manner, and with politeness. Never discourage your child from asking questions, because that's how they learn and that's how they push us to learn too. So our children, when they ask us questions and we don't know the answers, that's when we know that we need to do something about it. Because up until certain age, they will come to you, and after that age, and I want us to mark that age to age 10. We're lucky if we get up until 12 or 13, or we have a very, very, very good kid, maybe later. but 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 may Allah protect all of them. If we are not answering those questions, or we're not the person they can come to, then they're gonna ask somebody else. And there's a lot of people out there who are going to misguide our kids. Yeah, subhanallah. So we need to make sure that we are allowing our kids to ask as many questions as they want. Plus, we are also delivering it. If we don't know the answer to it, we can tell them, hey, let's look it up together. Like, good question. I don't even know that. Let's find out. So they will know that, yeah, you're a human being. You don't know everything, and that's okay. Nobody knows everything. It's only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who knows everything. SubhanAllah. Okay. Number 12 is they apologize when they're wrong. It takes courage and bravery to apologize. They understand when they've made a mistake and genuinely apologize. This shows that they are humble and they take ownership and accountability of their behavior. So they are well aware of themselves. They know that they are human beings and they can make mistakes, and their mistakes may hurt other people's feelings. So they are not holding it off or being arrogant about it. They will apologize as soon as they realize they have made a mistake and hurt someone's feeling. And this does not mean you're always apologizing. There is a thing as real apology, and then there is a thing as just a habit. So we should not be habitual on that, because when you say you're sorry, you mean it. And when you mean you're sorry, you try not to repeat those mistakes, inshallah. It's a part of apologizing. Number 13 is that they can communicate their feelings. This is a huge problem, not only with this generation, but also with the generation prior to this, which is us. We don't know how to regulate our emotions. So instead of lashing out, they express their emotions in a healthy and constructive way. They practice good emotional regulation. It is the skill to have. If you have nothing, if you don't take anything else from this session today, take one thing. If you want to pick one thing from this session today, this is it. That they can communicate their feelings right. Emotional regulation will help you improve in your communication with other people and people dealing, and yourself too. You're not gonna end up mistakes that you have to apologize for. So you will be able to think before you speak. You will be able to calm yourself down better. You will be able to separate emotions from the event. You will be able to separate the person from the behavior. you would be able to manage your anxiety, depression, all that stuff, anger, all that stuff, and that's very much needed in today's time. Number 14 is that they are generous and willing to share. So they're willing to share their toys, snacks, and time with others. Sharing is caring. We all hear about that a lot. But how much of it do we do willingly? Right? So that's the thing. We need to encourage them to be open to sharing. And then sometimes, some things they might not want to share, and that's okay. That's okay. But in general, their personality should have this trait, and when they grow up, they'll be able to share more with the outside world. As a little child, your world is your toys and your snack, but when you grow up, you know that there is so much more out there, and there's so many people who might need our help and support, however we can, through our money or our talent or our time. And that's how we give back to the community. And even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves that from us. 15 is that they feel safe and loved. So they express affection, feel comfortable discussing their thoughts, and know that they have a secure and supportive home environment. And this is the kind of environment children need to thrive. So that is 100% our responsibility to provide for them. We need to make sure that as a household, we are providing the safety and security where they are comfortable enough to come to any of the parent, it doesn't matter, mom or dad, whichever, but they are comfortable. And even if out of the two, if one is that kind of person, the parent, because not everybody have those skills or personality that you feel comfortable approaching, but even if one parent is able to provide that safe space where they can come and talk about anything, that will help them a lot. That will help them a lot, inshallah. Again, the even more important point I would want to bring in there is your relationship with your spouse. So when the parents among each other are doing well, they are understanding, they are respectful, they are kind to each other, mom and dad, and that's what the kids are observing. It's going to make a huge difference in their life, and it's going to create that healthy and happy environment for a little child to grow up to be a happy and positive adult, inshallah. Spiritually grounded. Spiritually grounded means their connection with their creator. Their connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts from the point I believe they are conceived, because that's how you are living your life. If you are living a life of spirituality, you are connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Naturally, it affects the baby. And then, subhanallah, it's amazing. I feel the difference between both my kids when I was more spiritually intact or grounded compared to the other one when I was not as much. There's a difference in the personality also. There is a stillness, the terao in one child, and other one is not. SubhanAllah. So it's a huge difference. So when you have conceived a baby, that's when you need to make sure that you have started on it. Parenting starts from there. SubhanAllah. So a spiritual connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always keep them grounded, and help them know that there's a being above us who is recording everything, who is subhanallah, I'm going to be accountable to that being on one day, and I have to answer about everything I'm doing. It makes a big difference in a personality of any person. Now, the most important part is you cannot expect your child to be a certain way if you are not doing all those things. So if you remember the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the believer is a mirror to his brother.
Yes.
And that's what our children are to us. Subhanallah. The moment that changed my life was when I started to see myself in my child, and not the good stuff. Not the good stuff. Subhanallah. And then it moved me, and I was in a shock, and I was like, wow, that's not what I want to see. That's not what I like. So I know now that I needed to do something about myself, so that is going to transfer into my child. And that's where what I should be seeing in them. That's when all of the 16 signs we just talked about are going to appear in my child if I'm the one practicing them too. And subhanallah, I'm so grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I see the difference now. I see the difference from being a mother for 21 years, mashallah. I see the difference. Allah Akbar, may Allah protect our children. So children learn from their parents. Actions are more than words.
It's called a real tarbiyah for kids.
Yes, they absorb everything.
Everything.
Yes, even your energy.
Yes.
They absorb everything. Indeed, Allah does not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. So if you are seeing some problematic behaviors in your child, think about it. Reflect on your own self first. So maybe there is something you are doing that is causing that. These are reminders from Allah also. You know, when we see our child not behaving the way we would like them to, is a reminder to me, hey, what am I doing wrong here? How am I contributing to that situation or that behavior? So we need to check our hearts. Subhanallah. And this is the Surah Al-Kahf. This is an ayah number 77, Surah Al-Kahf. So they moved on until they came to the people of a town. They asked them for food, but the people refused to give them hospitality. They found a wall ready to collapse, so the man set it right. Musa alayhi salam protested. If you wanted, you could have demanded a fee for them. Does it remind you of what we're talking about here? It's the story of Musa and Khidr.
Yeah.
So when they were traveling,
Yes,
they came across a town where people were not very generous. They did not give them any food. They didn't offer any.
Like they travel in the boat.
Yeah.
And
First was the boat.
Yeah.
Second was that they killed a boy. He killed a boy. And then
Yeah.
the third one was he fixed a wall. So subhanallah.
Yes.
And then Musa alayhi salam, when he's fixing the wall, Musa alayhi salam is objecting. Why are you fixing this wall? Because these people here are not even.
Yeah. He told something about the boy, like his in the future they will get some treasure from this.
Yes, so there was a treasure buried under the wall, and as you could see, that the people of the town were not very nice people, and if the treasure was exposed, they would have taken it from those two orphan kids. So, the next part of this ayah is, it says that their father was a righteous person.
Yes.
When Khizr gives the interpretation of this ayah, he tells Musa alayhi salam that their father is a righteous person, and that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted me to build this wall. And it surprised me when I found out that the father was actually the 7th generation grandfather, not their immediate father. 7th generation. So you see, if you want good for your kids, you need to do good now. We need to do good now, so our generations are protected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to be righteous before we expect righteous. Subhanallah. The world is changed by your example, not by your opinions. We can talk all we want to, But if you're not doing anything, then there's going to be no difference in the world. So talk less, do more, inshallah. Making dua for your children. That is encouraged by Anbiya. Ibrahim alayhi salam specifically, mashallah, he made so many beautiful du'as. And those du'as are complete and comprehensive du'as. SubhanAllah. And so make those du'as with keeping your child in mind. And that also will teach us that, like I was talking about spiritual grounding for our kids, we also need to be spiritually grounded, and it's going to help us stay spiritually grounded when we are making these du'as. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sharing with us. Yes. There is a reason why these du'as are mentioned in the Quran, that we make those du'as. And dua is the weapon of a believer. SubhanAllah. So one of the du'as is that they are those who pray, our Lord. They, mean the good people, the righteous people, the believers are those who pray, our Lord, bless us with pious spouses and offsprings. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. And then the other one is, my Lord, enable me to be grateful for you, for your favor, which you have bestowed upon me and upon my parents, and to do righteousness of which you approve, and make my offspring righteous. Indeed, I have repented to you, and indeed, I am of the Muslims. Surah 46, Ayah 15. So in this dua, we can see that we are making dua for our offsprings along with ourselves. Do not leave yourself out of these duas. And you are also a sadaqah jariyah for your parents, right? And we see that from the ayah of Surah Al-Kahf, that the 7 generation. So it's 7 generation up and 7 generations down. That's how far our actions affect. Yeah, it's scary. So if I do good and it continues, I taught my daughter something good, and they keep teaching it further down up till 7 generations. Whoever does that good deed, I'm going to get a reward for that. And what I do, my grandparents up to 7 generation are getting a reward for it. And it's vice versa. Same thing with our sins. Yes, so we have to be very careful about what kind of actions we are promoting. SubhanAllah. So that is it for today. Do you have any questions? Any reflections?
Learn, practice, and implement in our lives. Inshallah.
Yes, inshallah. Inshallah. May Allah help us attain this knowledge and transform it into actions that are acceptable by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah guide our generations and keep them on the right path, inshallah. So we will end here, and we will meet everybody in a few minutes for the assembly. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.